The cricket captain who just shocked the world by quitting at his peak. This is what really happened to Kraigg Brathwaite. Right now, cricket fans everywhere are asking one big question. Why did the man who led West Indies to their biggest win in 27 years suddenly quit being captain? Today, I'm telling you the real story behind one of cricket's most surprising exits. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why sometimes winning comes with a price nobody talks about. December 1st, 1992. A baby boy was born in Barbados. His name was Kraigg Brathwaite. Nobody knew this quiet kid would one day become a cricket legend. Growing up in Black Rock, cricket wasn't just fun, it was everything. Every kid dreamed of playing for West Indies, but Kraigg was different. While other kids played games, he studied cricket like homework. At school, the same school that famous singer Rihanna went to, young Kraigg spent his lunch breaks hitting balls against the wall. His friends called him crazy. "Why practice so much?" they asked. But Kraigg had a dream, and he wasn't going to let anyone stop him. But here's the shocking part most people don't know. At age 14, Kraigg almost quit cricket forever. The competition in Barbados was tough. Only the best kids got picked for good teams. Kraigg was good, but was he good enough? His coach back then said something that almost destroyed his confidence. "You're too slow for modern cricket." Think about that for a second. A 14-year-old kid being told he's not good enough. Most kids would give up right there. But Kraigg went home crying to his mother. She looked at him and said words that changed his life. "Son, they can call you slow, but they can't say you don't fight." That night, Kraigg made a promise to himself. He would prove everyone wrong. In 2009, something amazing happened. At just 16 years old, Kraigg played his first big cricket match for Barbados. His first score? A brilliant 73 runs. Suddenly, everyone was talking about this teenager who could bat for hours without getting out. The same people who called him slow were now calling him special. But playing for your country is totally different from playing for your local team. In 2011, at age 18, Kraigg got the phone call every Caribbean kid dreams about. West Indies wanted him to play Test cricket against Pakistan. When he held his Test cap for the first time, tears rolled down his face. All those years of people doubting him, all those lunch breaks practicing alone, it was all worth it for this moment. His first Test match was brutal. He scored only 15 runs in the whole game, and West Indies lost badly. The newspapers were mean. "Another failed West Indies player," they wrote. "Too boring for modern cricket." But instead of giving up, these harsh words made Kraigg stronger. He went back home and worked even harder on his batting. The comeback story began in November 2011. Against India in Delhi, Kraigg scored 63 runs and didn't get out. With this score, he became only the second West Indian player to get 250s before turning 19. The first player to do this? The great Sir Garfield Sobers. This wasn't luck. This was destiny calling. Over the next few years, Kraigg became West Indies' best opening batsman. But it wasn't easy. West Indies cricket was in big trouble. Good players were retiring, the team was losing most games, and fans were losing hope. Through all this chaos, Kraigg stayed strong. When others failed, he stood firm like a rock. His batting style became famous around the world. While other players tried to score quick runs, Kraigg played old-style cricket. He would face 400, 500, sometimes even 600 balls in one game. In 2022, against England, he faced an incredible 673 balls, the most ever by a West Indies player in one Test match. Critics called it boring, but his teammates called it heroic. Here's where the story gets really interesting. In December 2020, West Indies needed a new captain. Jason Holder was stepping down, and they needed someone to lead the team. Many people expected an older, experienced player to get the job. But the selectors surprised everyone. They chose Kraigg. At 28, he became the 37th captain of the West Indies Test team. The pressure was enormous. Imagine leading a team that had been losing for years. Imagine having to make all the big decisions while also trying to score runs yourself. But Kraigg had something special. He never gave up, no matter how bad things looked. His first big test as captain came against Bangladesh in 2021. Nobody expected West Indies to win. Bangladesh was strong at home, and West Indies sent a weak team. But Kraigg did something magical. He scored important runs and made smart decisions as captain. The result shocked the cricket world. West Indies won 2-0. After the win, Kraigg said, "I always believed in this team. Sometimes you just need someone to believe in you first." That Bangladesh win changed everything. Kraigg was now the permanent captain, and suddenly West Indies cricket had hope again. But the biggest challenge was still coming: Australia. West Indies hadn't won a test match in Australia since 1997. That's 27 years of going to Australia and losing. Kraigg was determined to break this curse. January 2024, the Gabba Cricket Ground in Brisbane. This place was like a fortress where visiting teams came to get beaten. The crowd was loud and mean. Australia was favored to win easily, and everyone expected another West Indies loss. But Kraigg had a secret weapon, a young fast bowler named Shamar Joseph. What happened next was pure magic. Joseph took 7 wickets in Australia's second innings, and West Indies won by just 8 runs. When the winning runs were scored, Kraigg fell to his knees and cried. 27 years of pain and disappointment were finally over. West Indies had beaten Australia in Australia for the first time in nearly 3 decades. The celebrations were incredible. In the Caribbean, people danced in the streets. Kids who had never seen West Indies win in Australia were jumping with joy. Kraigg had done what many thought was impossible. He had made West Indies winners again. But here's what fans didn't see behind all the celebrations. Being captain of West Indies wasn't just about cricket. Kraigg had to deal with politics, angry media, and young players who needed guidance. He was playing cricket, leading the team, and sometimes even acting like a father to younger players. The mental pressure was crushing. Even while dealing with all this stress, Kraigg kept getting better as a batsman. Between 2014 and 2024, he became one of only 5 opening batsmen in the world to score over 5,000 test runs. He broke multiple records, including playing 86 test matches in a row, even more than the legendary Sir Garfield Sobers, who played 85 in a row. But all these achievements came with a cost. Playing cricket and being captain was wearing him down. His body was tired, his mind was exhausted, and he knew he couldn't keep doing both jobs much longer. The decision to quit as captain in March 2025 wasn't sudden. He had been thinking about it for months. When Kraigg announced he was stepping down as captain, the cricket world was shocked. Here was a leader who had just led West Indies to historic wins, who had brought pride back to Caribbean cricket, quitting at the top of his game. But people close to Kraigg understood. He had given everything to West Indies cricket for years, and now he wanted to focus just on his batting. Then came another shock. Recently, Kraigg was dropped from the West Indies team for the series against India. After 14 years of always being picked, he found himself watching from home as West Indies played without their former captain. The selectors said they wanted to try new players, but for Kraigg, it felt like the end of an era. Today, at age 32, Kraigg finds himself at a turning point. He's no longer captain, no longer guaranteed a spot on the team, but he's far from finished. His record speaks for itself. Over 5,000 test runs, 12 centuries, and some of the most memorable captaincy moments in West Indies history. What's next for Kraigg? Nobody knows for sure. But if his career has taught us anything, it's that he never gives up. The boy who was told he was too slow became one of cricket's most reliable players. The teenager who scored only 15 runs on his debut became a record-breaking captain. Every time someone doubted Kraigg, he found a way to prove them wrong. His story teaches us something important. Success isn't always about being the fastest or the flashiest player. Sometimes it's about being the most determined, the most consistent, and the most willing to fight when others give up. Kraigg may not be the most exciting cricketer to watch, but he's one of the most inspiring to learn from. From a quiet schoolboy in Barbados to the captain who brought back West Indies pride, Kraigg's story isn't over yet. Whether he returns to the team, becomes a coach, or finds new challenges, one thing is certain. He'll face whatever comes next with the same fighting spirit that made him a cricket legend. The boy who dreamed of playing 100 test matches has played 94 so far. Just 6 more games to reach his childhood dream. Will he get there? Nobody knows. But knowing Kraigg, he won't stop trying until he does. What made Kraigg different from other cricketers wasn't his natural talent. Plenty of players were more gifted. It wasn't his speed. We already know people called him slow. What made him special was his mind. While other players would get frustrated and lose focus, Kraigg stayed calm. When fast bowlers tried to intimidate him with dangerous balls, he never backed down. When crowds booed him for playing slowly, he never changed his style. There's a story from his early days that shows his character perfectly. During a match against England, Kraigg was batting for over 6 hours. The English players were getting angry, the crowd was getting restless, and even his own teammates wondered why he wasn't trying to score faster. But Kraigg had a plan. He knew that by staying at the crease for so long, he was tiring out the English bowlers. By the end of the day, England was exhausted, and West Indies was in a strong position. After the match, the English captain came up to Kraigg and said, "I've never seen anyone with your patience. You wore us down completely." That's when Kraigg realized his so-called weakness, batting slowly, was actually his biggest strength. But being a test captain brought challenges nobody talks about. Imagine having to make decisions that affect not just your career, but the careers of 10 other players. Imagine having to speak to angry media after every loss, knowing that anything you say will be analyzed and criticized. Imagine having to motivate young players who are struggling with form and confidence. There were nights when Kraigg couldn't sleep, thinking about team selection, bowling changes, and field positions. There were days when he questioned whether he was good enough to lead West Indies. The pressure was so intense that he started losing weight and developed stress-related headaches. His wife later revealed that there were times when Kraigg would come home after a bad day and just sit quietly for hours. "The captaincy changed him," she said in a rare interview. "He became more serious, more worried about everything. The fun-loving boy I married was carrying the weight of West Indies cricket on his shoulders." But through all this pressure, Kraigg never complained publicly. He never blamed his players when they made mistakes. He never criticized the cricket board when they made decisions he disagreed with. This quiet leadership style earned him respect from players around the world, even from opposing teams. The Australia tour in 2024 was the peak of his captaincy, but it almost didn't happen. Just months before the tour, there were rumors that the cricket board was considering replacing him as captain. Some board members thought his defensive style of play was holding the team back. There were meetings where Kraigg had to defend not just his captaincy, but his entire approach to cricket. The pressure during those meetings was enormous. Kraigg later said, "I had to convince them that my way of playing could work in Australia. I had to show them statistics, videos of past games, and explain my strategy. It felt like I was defending my entire cricket philosophy." When the board finally confirmed him as captain for the Australia tour, Kraigg felt a mix of relief and pressure. This was his chance to prove that defensive, patient cricket could still win matches in the modern game. The entire cricket world was watching. The preparation for Australia was intense. Kraigg studied videos of every Australian bowler, analyzed the pitches they would play on, and worked with coaches to develop specific strategies. He even brought in sports psychologists to help the team deal with the pressure of playing in Australia's hostile environment. But the most important preparation happened in team meetings. Kraigg told his players, "We're not going to Australia to compete. We're going to win. And we're going to win by playing our way, not by trying to copy what other teams do." When they arrived in Australia, the media was brutal. Australian newspapers wrote articles about how West Indies would be easy meat for the Australian team. Former Australian players on TV predicted big defeats for West Indies. But Kraigg used all this negative coverage to motivate his team. The night before the first test at the Gabba, Kraigg gathered his team in the hotel conference room. He showed them newspaper clippings of all the negative predictions. "This is what they think of us," he said. "Tomorrow we start proving them wrong." And prove them wrong they did. That historic win at the Gabba wasn't just about Shamar Joseph's bowling. It was about Kraigg's captaincy. Every field change, every bowling change, every tactical decision came from a captain who had spent years preparing for this moment. After the win, something interesting happened. The same Australian media that had written them off were now praising Kraigg's leadership. The same former players who predicted easy defeats were calling him a tactical genius. But Kraigg remained humble. "This win belongs to the whole team," he said. "I just tried to put players in positions where they could succeed." The victory celebration that night was emotional. Players who had never won a test in Australia were crying with joy. Kraigg, usually so controlled and calm, let his emotions show. He called his mother from the dressing room, and for the first time in years, he cried tears of pure happiness. But even in this moment of triumph, Kraigg was already thinking about the future. He knew that one win didn't solve all of West Indies cricket's problems. There were still young players to develop, more series to win, and a cricket culture to rebuild. The months after the Australia win were bittersweet. Everyone wanted to interview Kraigg. Cricket boards from other countries invited him to speak about leadership, and suddenly he was being mentioned as one of the best captains in world cricket. But the pressure was also increasing. Every series now came with expectations of victory. Today, as Kraigg trains alone at his local cricket ground in Barbados, he's still chasing that dream of 100 test matches. At 94 tests played, he needs just 6 more games to reach a milestone that seemed impossible when he was told he was too slow at age 14. Whether he gets those 6 games or not, Kraigg Brathwaite has already achieved something more important than any statistic. He showed the world that success comes in many forms. You don't have to be the fastest, the strongest, or the most naturally talented. Sometimes all you need is the determination to keep fighting when everyone else has given up. His journey reminds us that champions aren't always the ones who score the fastest runs or take the most wickets. Sometimes the real champions are the ones who never give up, no matter how tough things get. Sometimes they're the quiet ones who lead by example, who turn their weaknesses into strengths, and who prove that there's more than one way to be great. From that scared 14-year-old who almost quit cricket to the captain who conquered Australia, Kraigg's story is proof that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they refuse to accept limitations. If this story of never giving up inspired you to chase your own dreams, smash that subscribe button because the best stories are about ordinary people doing extraordinary things.